Hello, all right. How are you? Nice to see you. Hope everybody can hear me. And yeah, nice. I'm a bit bright, aren't I? Bit of a shine on there. Well, I'm taking them off. I can't see anything of that these days. Welcome to Real Magic Review Sunday Waffles. Good evening, Gid. Hi, Terry. Hi, Real Magic Review. That's me. Hi, John Tool. Hi, Pinball with Wizard 666, and hi, Flying Lizard. Paul and Gary, that is, isn't it? I think both of you. Not to get the pinball. Yeah. So, are you actually a pinball wizard, or do you like the song? That's an interesting one. Because I always wondered about pinball, how much of it was. I know there is loads of skill in it. Oh, what are you talking about, Steve? What's that got to do with anything? I was just about to go on a long. I'm not happy with this brightness, but I'll have to live with it, won't I? Right. Oh God, you shouldn't have done that, Steve. It's all falling apart now. What I want to say is a couple of things that I might forget. One is stevefaulkner.com/newsletter, because there's an awful lot going on. There's too much going on. I'm drowning in it, to be honest, but I'm loving it. So me and my friend Toby Davis have started a podcast, Waffle Pod. That's on the Steve Faulkner podcast. I'm going to be recording 2 more episodes tomorrow. I've got 2 more to come out. Please check the Jason Bird one I've just put out, and of course the Dave Loosely one on the Steve Faulkner podcast, wherever you get them. It's super exciting, and there's loads going on. And onlinemagic.co, and it's too much, right? Make it worthwhile. It's always worthwhile because I love it. However, it'd be lovely if you shared the stuff, went to the newsletter, shared the newsletter, tell people about what I do, because I love it. But it's nice to get that feedback, and I've had some lovely feedback. So I'm going to look at that in a minute. I'm not just going to read out the lovely feedback, because that always feels a bit self-indulgent. But there are some interesting questions. Some came in last week too late. So if you put a question, emailed me a question, I know I get it too late, I will follow it up either next week or on another session. He owns 2 pinball machines, including Theatre of Magic and I'm not bad. Well, I'll bet you on. My favourite was Star Trek Next Generation, legendary and Haunted House. But there you go. Just about to go off on another pinball one there. Just to give that some, I suppose, some context. We'll do that. Right. Oh, no. See, now I've got that in the wrong place, because it's getting the... I'm going to put that over there. Right. So happy Father's Day for all you fathers. I don't know. My daughter came and visited as a surprise. She lives in Liverpool, and my son came over, and we had a lovely time. And I've just gone to see the new Toy Story film, which I enjoyed very much. It's not up there. It's not up there with 1 and 3, and possibly 2. It's more of a 4, but I thought it dealt with things very well, and I enjoyed it. So that's my film review. I'm going to go on some comments before I do it. But first, Paul, I keep saying I'm going to look at this flourish. Now, is it this one? I'm just going to show you the top of my desk, which is so bad. No, hopefully you won't see that bit. Is it this one that you're talking about? Which is, whenever I really need to do it, I can't do it very well. But this one, so this single card spin flourish. So for a couple of weeks now, Paul's been asking me about this, and I keep forgetting. So this is, I really like this. I'm going to do this first so I don't forget. Because I like it for a couple of things. I like it when I'm doing, I do a trick where I want to show the singularity of a card, and I like doing a little spin just before I put it back. I think you can overdo it. I also, the thing with things like this, it doesn't matter if you don't do it very well. Like if I do it and go, and that happens, that's fine. I just carry on. So it's not like the trick. This is something to add. But when I get a nice one, it's really lovely. But there's a couple of little knacky things with it. I will say the reason I can do it probably is years and years and years ago, when I did my first cruise ships, when I was, oh my gosh, so I'd say 21 years ago, 22 years ago, I got very down on the cruise ship. My show simply wasn't good enough. I kind of knew it. I mean, it went down okay, and I wasn't used to doing a stage that size really, and I kind of didn't feel comfortable being on the ship waiting for days and days to do a show that I knew I wasn't comfortable with. So you'd walk around with room keys, I'm just doing this. And I still do it. It's still kind of a habit. Little credit cards and all that. So the only knacky thing with it, I would say, like all moves that require a spin or something that looks quick, rarely is it the move itself that's quick. The card moves quickly, but the catalyst for that movement is rarely a quick thing, or definitely rarely a forced thing. And it's a little bit like the thing that I can't do very well. I'm doing that, which I haven't really put loads of time into, but I know that as well. It's one of those things. It's not about it's a slow thing, but the thing moves quickly, and that's something fell then. What was that? Don't know. It's just similar with this. So if this isn't detailed enough, let me know, but this should give you enough. The hard thing is, if you look at how, it's not very bright, sorry. If you look at how quickly my hands are moving, it's not that quick. It's kind of, that's the speed of it. All right, so that's the speed of it there. So I'm just going to, there's some sort of noise upstairs. If it happens again, I'll just write a text. So you see, that's quite a slow kind of movement. And what's happening is, if you take a bite card like this, you put your thumb in the middle. Now, as I say all the time, please don't take this as Hot Shot by Daryl. That's the one. Please don't take this as gospel. Now play with it and find your own way. But I found that what happens is my thumb goes pretty much in the center. And if I take the card away now, my thumb's kind of in between those two fingers. All right. So there. And it's not a death grip. All right. But it's grippy enough to be able to, and all I'm doing is this. And I'm doing this movement here. So here, hang on, let's get the right one. There you go. There. I'm kind of doing that. All right. So, and the reason that's important, I think, is because I'm not thinking spin the card. I'm thinking do that movement. And this always helps me. It might not be the same for everybody else. So I'm going to do that movement. And that movement is going to do that with the card. And the hardest bit is doing that and not kind of putting your wrist, and then just lifting the thumb and, let's have a look, and kind of getting my first finger out of the way. So what's happening is this. So if you imagine the middle finger there, let's go here. So there I am. I'm doing that. And I'm going to set it on its way and just kind of move my thumb out of the way and almost lift my middle finger a little bit, just a tiny bit, like a really relaxed bird, but not too much. I'm not kind of doing that, it's any quick movement. And you see here, the card's tilted. If it tilts like that, it still works, but what I want to do is I want to just move the fingers around a little bit. And if you imagine the card spinning on that finger, if the finger is slightly towards me, it would tilt that way. If it's slightly the other way, it would tilt that way. But don't worry, if that happens, you can still do it. But if you want one of those really long, and because of I've got sort of fairly sweaty fingers, sorry, that's a horrific thing to put in your head, it will kind of stay there. But the key is to just, it's sort of a balance, but it's not. It's the movement that sort of holds it there, and you keep everything kind of relaxed. But just to go to the key bits, is just keep it, getting it going, and just moving everything out of the way. But look, there's no sudden movement. But it's almost like, when you throw a ball and they say, when you let go of it, you keep going. And I know people say follow through, but if you're in England, there's so many jokes down, I can't help myself. So there, and I'm setting it on its way lightly and moving out the way. So when you learn it, don't try and get it really spinning. Just get it moving and get your fingers out of the way a bit. And when you do get that spin, that will help it stay there. And even if you do it and it does that, sometimes that's enough. Or it's quite addictive. And when it gets to here, that's when I try and kind of just make sure that finger's in the middle of kind of span the card around it, but just didn't done that movement, and try not to move that middle finger. And I hope that helps. You're welcome. Absolutely, Paul. I'm glad you did. It's really nice. It's a lovely thing, and I think you used with not overused. I think they're really nice, those things. I love them. So, comments. I'll go to a couple from. We do the apparition ones, but I want to get the people that wrote to me yesterday. And there's some crossover here. Not yesterday, last week. So this is from Justin Taylor. What are some of the tips for handling spectators trying to guess the method or asking to inspect something you don't want them to? Now, there's lots of different ways of dealing with this, and I think it depends on the way you perform and your mannerisms. See, I'm quite me when I perform. I'm just kind of a bloke saying, this is what I do, and not about like stage is a bit different. I'm a bit more scripted. So I've got sort of jokes when someone say, "Can I have a look at that?" I just kind of ignore them. I just go, "What? Sorry, I don't." And sometimes I say, "Sorry, it's a terrible signal here." It doesn't make any sense, but what I'm saying to them is no. However, I do agree with Caleb Wade in his excellent book, Blessed by Demons. You're rereading today. It is so good. It's so good. I performed a routine out of it today, and it just fried my partner. So, and that was, if you've got it, the routine I performed was Death by Acid. I think that's what it's called. But he says if someone gets to a point where they say, "Can I shuffle the part?" You've got to let them, because if you don't, you're saying, it's the cards. I agree with that, by the way, with mentalism and all, and you do something else depending on how you're presenting it. But me, I tend to move on. I tend to kind of put them away and then go, in a minute, and then hope they forget. But I do, and I've talked about this so much, the time that I was so fooled by the simplest of switches, quite earlier in my magic performance days, I suppose. But when, was it? It doesn't matter who it was. Someone did a trick with the cards. I think it's Pitt Harling, or it might have been one of the other ones, Dennis Bear. But anyway, did the trick. The cards were all kind of stuck together purposely with a rivet. Somebody will correct me. And someone said, "Can I have a look?" And they went, "Oh yeah, like that." And actually, what had happened is the switch. He'd put it in his bag and then pulled out a different one. Sure, it doesn't matter now. It was 20 odd years ago, probably. But I just missed it because it was so nothing. So I think if you're really worried about that, have a non-gimmick version of the thing and just have a look at that. You what? Pretend not to hear. Oh yeah, sorry, and get the thing out and just do the simplest of switches. I think the pretending not to hear is quite a good one. Sort of ignore what someone says, carry on. And they go, "Oh, sorry, what was it? Oh, yeah. And that, it sounds so obvious, but if it fooled me, I'm not saying I'm not completely, unfoolable, but because it was of the moment, I didn't think, and then just went, "Oh, of course, we had a chat and worked it out, and it took an embarrassingly long time." So I think that, but if it's happening a lot, sometimes, and I get this, sometimes it's my routining, it's the way I've kind of given that space. I think being relaxed, having script that flows from one thing to the other so they almost don't get a chance. And I'm terrible at that, by the way, but I think starting a new bit of script makes it harder for someone else to interrupt. And sometimes I just say, no. Can I have a look at that? No. I've only got 5 minutes. I don't want you to have a look at it. Thanks very much. And Caleb would disagree with me, and he'd probably be right. Right. Okay. So this is, this was written to, I think it's okay to say who it was. I'll just say it was, oh no, see the email. I don't know who it was. Anyway, Thanks for the Royal Road course. A place where I know and practice frequently. 2-card Monty, ambitious card, 3 cards across, and I've performed them individually to various friends and family. But I keep reading through different magic books and articles to just go out there and perform. But my anxiety for doing this, and some of you will empathise, if not all of you, to strangers and knowing how to approach them scares the out of me. Did you experience this when first starting, wanting to perform to people but choosing not to through fear and anxiety? Did I do this when I first started, or do I still do it most days 30 years later? In the next review that comes out, which is Henry Harris's Magnet Zero Pro, I don't know how much Toby's going to keep into the edit, but if he doesn't, I'm going to edit it all together, because I recorded me just about to go over to the cafe that I'd been procrastinating on for so long. I really was in a right state about it. It's a very different thing, and here's my theory on it. Faulknerites are like that, Tommy Winder, how are you? Here's the thing. When I'm at a gig, I do, as I said, me and Jason Bird were talking about it in the podcast, been doing it for years, but that first table is just like, because the space psychologically in my head and in who I am at that moment, from going to not performing to performing is, it's like getting into a very cold shower when you're all warm and cozy. And that's exactly what I do every morning for that reason. I just want the shower to last forever. I bang the cold on and see how long I can stay under there to tell my brain that if your state completely changes and you don't want to do it, but you force yourself to do it, it might feel really good, and it always feels amazing. It's that. So if you think about a person who isn't performing going on stage, to change between that person from one moment to the next is so massive. When I first saw it, I saw friends go on stage that I knew I'd never seen perform. I just could not believe seconds ago they were this person and they were that. And when you're in a routine of doing that, like I was when I was working the castle every night, that space, even though it was just as big, I learned to trust it because I was doing the same time every night, and I haven't done that many long runs of shows. So even though the space was just as big, it became I was trusting it so much because I'd done that thing for 3 times a night for how many nights. But the first time, oh dear me. When you perform for somebody you don't know and you're not in a performance scenario, meaning you're not at a gig, you're not where there is a certain level of acceptance, it's a performer, an event, doing a show, you're literally walking into a cafe like I was, or going up to someone, or going up to a bar. That space between who you are as a person and performing is even wider because you're not doing any kind of build up. You're just someone, so they're going to go, what's going? They don't know what's happening, so you have to really explain. And even then, they kind of go, oh yeah, all right, because it's totally the wrong context for performing. However, does that mean you shouldn't do it? No, because what you learn, as I did the other day, which you may see in the video that comes out, that I went to the pub and I thought, at least it's a pub and I know the person there's all right. It was locked and oh God, I thought I've got to do it. My adrenaline's pumping. So I went to the cafe, pure daylight, hardly anyone in there. The woman that was serving served me before, and she wasn't unfriendly, but quite introverted. And I can imagine, I said, I've got to do it. If I don't do it, it's going to do my head in. And I went and did the trick, and I did it badly. It worked. She was completely blown away. And I came out with an understanding, like the cold shower of and I have done it many times when I've completely screwed the trick up. You come out and you're kind of, I'm filled with adrenaline and cortisol when I come out. I'm like, I can't do anything. Not from a gig necessarily, but from doing that. It's such a full-on thing. Now, the reason I'm telling you this isn't to scare you. I'm saying it's a very human thing. You're doing something that is putting you in an that feels like a very vulnerable position. It isn't, but we are putting ourselves out there and going, I'm going to show you this thing. It's a weird scenario. Trust me enough that I'll show you it. And the worst thing that can happen is you walk away, screw up the trick, and I go, what was that? And that has happened to me many times. And I'll tell you what, half an hour later, I don't care. And I'm really proud of myself for doing it. And I worry, what if they see me perform at another gig and they see? So I have stuff that I say, and I'm totally happy to do this. I will go to people and say, I'm trying a trick out. I haven't done it before. The only way to practice this is to find nice people like yourself that just allow me to show you. If it's great, let me know. I'd like, I'm going to do it as well as I can. But if it goes wrong, please know that this is me trying out a new thing. And that is if I'm in town or something, because I don't want people saying, oh, that magician Steve Ford. I was at a gig there. That was great, but I saw him do this thing. Terrible. So I do want to tell people that I'm doing that. But that's a personal choice. And I would say commit to doing it. Commit to doing it early on in the day so you're not worrying about it all day. And commit that if you get the trick wrong, it does to tell yourself it is not you being a bad performer. I know I'm not a bad performer, but when I'm doing a new trick, I'm a really bad performer in relative to what I'm like when it's worked in. And it takes a while. It takes a good, if it's a trick that's super easy, it will take me 5 or 6 times to at least feel sort of comfortable, and a lot longer to get it very tight. So don't beat yourself up. Understand that if you do it, you're doing something that most people wouldn't dream of doing, and you should be incredibly proud of yourself for taking that first step, even learning the thing. And I would say really proud of yourself for showing family members, because I showed Helen the Caleb Wade thing earlier, and I was terrified knowing she wouldn't care, and I've screwed loads of tricks up for her before. So that's that. I hope that's helpful, and that's helped a few people. This is interesting. Norris just wanted to share his thoughts because we were talking last time about ADHD, and someone was saying, how do you stop the overwhelm? And the answer is, if you look at my desk, I don't. But how do you actually get to that point where you're learning something rather than in analysis paralysis with all your tricks and books? And Norris is really nice. I tried to post a question, but all the comments have disappeared. That's what happens sometimes. Sorry about that. Best way for an older ADHD beginner to learn magic: drill one move, trick at a time, or rotate 2 or 3 areas, cards, sponge balls, so it's less repetitive. I started magic about 2 years ago and haven't progressed very much because of my scattered brain. Any advice you could give me would be greatly appreciated. And you're right. So the advice that, and I'm not going to apologize. I was just about to say, sorry if this is repetitive, but I think so many of us, doesn't matter whether we've got ADHD or not, the way our culture is working at the moment is we are all having ADHD type symptoms because we are bombarded with people wanting our attention, and it's very hard when this is our passion not to give them our attention. And I really struggle to the point of quite deep anxiety sometimes with it. What I found so far, this room here that I'm in was meant to be my sanctuary, it's meant to be my place where I can shut myself away and focus. It is not that. What it is somewhere where I can film and do that. But I've realized that if I want to work on something, I have to take that 1 or 2 things out of the house with me, or in a different room, and go there with those things and promise myself not to do what I did this morning, walk on the way over there to read Caleb's book, pick another book up, do another thing, and realize an hour later I hadn't done it. It's Sunday. I didn't beat myself up as much as I usually do. So make the plan. By this time I'm leaving the house, or by this time I'm going to sit down and spend 5 minutes doing this one thing, and know that everything in your mind is going to want to draw you to something else, but don't do it. That's so much easier said than done, and it's something I fail at a lot, but it's a daily practice for me. And again, to me at the moment, it's just kind of hitting that thing first thing in the morning, starting reading before picking up the phone. All those little hacks and tricks is the way to go, I think. And if you really have got 2 or 3, there's no point in working on more than 2 or 3 things. As Norris said, it's not going to work. I'm working on way too many and it's not working. So every now and then, just promise yourself, right, tomorrow it's just these, and I'm not going to learn them from beginning to end. I'm going to spend 10 minutes with them, and that will sometimes start the ball rolling. But I tell you what, it's endlessly fascinating, procrastination. I'm not saying that's the same thing, but it can be, because it is paralyzing, and it is not a choice, and it's not laziness for so many of us. It's overwhelm. And with the amount of magic that's coming out at the moment, it's like if you're a music fan and someone said, oh, they got a new album out, but you're not allowed to just listen to it. You've got to listen to it, learn it, remember all the words before you can even enjoy it. You go, well, I won't bother then. You'd be totally overwhelmed. So I hope that was useful. I'm not going to say the name of this person. I'm sure they'll be fine, but it's linked to something I was saying last week. People do send, they say I'm working on a trick if they're members of the course. Do you think this is okay? I give them my honest opinion, meaning if it's dreadful, it never is. But I would say, look, you're flashing now. I'd be a bit careful, and you want to work on this, because my opinion has been asked for, and feedback, importantly. I try not to if it isn't. But this person had sent me a video. I said it was great. Totally, if you perform that, there's no giveaways there. Wasn't perfect, but it would, nor would it be if I did it. But totally, yeah, it would, without doubt, every phase of that thing would have worked. It did work on video, and video is way more difficult to not flash and etc. They posted out something online and got a very derogatory comment back saying it was terrible. I'm not going to say the words in case it gives away who it is. And it threw me, and it made this person, the words were that it threw me down. Basically saying it stopped him, for not forever, thankfully, wanting to share and wanting to put stuff up. And I think it's so, and you got to understand, this person's 19 years old, and approaching random people to do magic, terrified of doing it. It is, we have to, I know I'm so repetitive, I'm so sorry, but we have to constantly tell ourselves it's terrifying. It's okay that it's terrifying. It's not because we are weak. It's because there isn't a person on the planet who doesn't have some condition that would feel fine walking into a cafe of nobody and showing them all the magic tricks. Don't get me wrong, I feel fine doing it sometimes. I do have a condition. So, but yes, is the answer. Just go with that feeling, understand it. Don't beat yourself up if you just can't face it one day. And every small step is, try an easy trick when you first approach people and tell them why you're doing it. I want to practice. Would you help me? And if they say no, that's fine too. Don't be offended. Don't be worried. Don't feel like you've been silly. And do not let people put you down. If you watch the video and you're flashing, or you find someone you trust and say, look, that isn't a magician, and say, can you watch this and tell me? I do it all the time. I say, can you watch this and tell me if it's good enough to post? And they will say yes or no. Helen will tell me if I'm flashing. People tell me if I'm flashing. And if I trust them, I will re-record the thing just in case. On that, I want to come back to the flashing because it's a comment I had on the apparition. Yeah. Let's just see. Oh, I just want to read this for the Royal Road. Oh, no, masterclass course. stevefaulkner.com/masterclass. Today is the last day of the voucher code, masterclass20, one word, all caps, probably, where you get 20 quid off my masterclass from beginner to pro. It's stevefaulkner.com/ like that, but not newsletter. It's masterclass. stevefaulkner.com/ masterclass. And Colin did say I could share this. He says, I downloaded the course this morning. It's brilliant. I was a teacher trainer in a past life, and your ability to teach is amazing. Thank you. Colin, AIMC, in a magic circle, that means, doesn't it? Yeah. That's lovely, isn't it? Just thought I'd read that. And so here's the comment. Tell me if my voice disappears, because this screen sharing things are kind of is a new thing. I flash on this, but I want to tell you why. The comment underneath, which actually I'll just read it here, because where is it? Here. Yes. So we'll put that one there, and we'll put the Chinese one in here. Yeah, put your hand just like this. And I'm going to try and make this as fair as possible, all right? Mm-hmm. So we've got the Chinese one in here, the American one in here, and if I just go like this, you see that goes from there. And you see, I want to make that a bit bigger. So, that was that. I just want to, mate. I won't show it again, but it's done that really annoyingly. So, here's the flash. Fair as possible. Right. There's a bit of a flash there when I put it here. There. Yeah, put your hand just like this. And I'm going to try and make this as fair as possible, all right? Mm-hmm. So we've got the Chinese one in here, the American one in here, and if I just go like this, you see that goes from there. Now, we did cut it, right? Now, you might not be able to see exactly what kind of happened there. But I kind of flashed a gimmick a little bit. Now, when the first video of that came out, and I'm just going to read the comment. I'm not. By the way, the comment's great. I'm not unhappy about the comment. I think it's a very valid one. But I want to talk about why I left it in, because I don't like leaving any kind of exposure in. Sometimes. Welcome to Real Magic. Shut up. So loads of people getting it out again and playing with it, which I really love. The performance flashed a bit. What's going on, but also the edges give it away. I've noticed with many gaff coins that you can't really look at the edges without noticing two different metals. So this is 100% true. I can very confidently with the gaff, when the shell is on the thing, I feel really confident with it. If you really look at it and you know about shells and things like that, and nobody, by the way, is a non-magician is watching this, you just won't see anything, right? And especially when the thing that's happening there, don't worry about it. I've never been caught with it. And if you're just a little bit careful with your angles and you're very relaxed, people see a coin as just a coin, right? They're not looking for anything. It may be afterwards when things start happening, but you're usually fine then. So that with that set and with all those sets, it really isn't a problem. You might see it because you know it's there, all right? Now, the flash, Toby edited this, and we had a bit that there's basically the camera angle was wrong. It didn't flash for the bird's name. The camera angle was wrong, and without that cut there, it did really. I'd still say you probably wouldn't if you weren't looking for it, but if you went back and zoomed in, you'd see something. My decision to keep that in was based on the fact that by the time that is late in the video, and that's kind of boring, but I want you to know I think about these things. By the time it's in the video, anybody watching this who isn't a magician is bored to sense that there's nothing in that for a non-magician. So by the time they get to it, I don't think they're going to see the flash. And if they do, they're not the sort of person that's interested. It's just not going to, it doesn't worry me. It's not going to be thousands of people who are going to understand how that trick is done. The other reason is because though I love the trick, and one of the things I love about it is it's not like many other tricks, meaning that if the odd person, and I really don't think this is going to happen, there isn't a magician when, there's something, or looked on a magic shop and found out what certain things were, it's not going to change the course of anything, I don't think. So if it was something like Crazy Man's Handcuffs, with loads of people do at gigs, and someone saw, so I'd never ever show anything that gave something away like that. And Cups and Balls loads, I have got a little bit on video somewhere online, but I try and cut where they would see the load. With that, I don't think they do see it really. And if we see it, again, I don't think anybody who's not a magician is going to go away and know how it's done. And I think magicians will kind of have a good idea of how it's done, and you can't go and replicate that anyway without the set. And the routine, when done properly, is so much more than just the gimmick. So you might disagree with me, and you'd be totally happy if you did, but I was kind of happy with it. I thought, okay, magician's going to see a bit of a flash. The only reason for me to remove it by that point would be ego, and I'm trying to be, it's a flawed performance to show that I've done it and to show that it worked, and the response, even doing it quite badly, was amazing. I suppose it was the point. I hope I'm not trying to kind of just defend myself, but we did cut it, and we did talk about removing it, and I said, you know what, and Toby said, I did keep it in there. So that was that. But I really do respect your opinion, and I'm not saying it's wrong. Now, there's another one that says, I love it, but is it something for the real world? It's hard to perform it one-on-one in a quiet environment because of some sounds it makes. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter when there is some noise around you. There is a moment, and not at that moment actually, when I would argue that you can, and I have done it because I've done it a few times now and shown people, there's been a little giveaway sound when certain things are occurring. It's not when the actual moment of magic happens. And I've heard it, but they haven't. And because it isn't at the moment of magic or just after the moment of magic, because their radar isn't there, it just hasn't been perceived. It's a bit like the coin under the watch. I've nearly broken people's hairs as it's gone on, but because they're not expecting it, they don't feel it. And it's a bit like that. Saying that, I've realized that if I practice more and more and more, I soften those sounds, and those sounds are not there. So there are ways of doing it. But if you're just beginning and you perform it and you hear it, don't panic. You're working with coins and people don't really register that, there's only one coin. It's made it just doesn't really happen. You just keep talking, keep chatting, and you're really honed in on that stuff, and they tend not to be. So I wouldn't worry. And I would happily, if it was like pin drop, it's me and you, and it's silent. I just make sure I had it really tight, that moment of softening it up. Right, I better go in a minute because I've got people waiting on me. So thank you all for coming. Hi to South Africa, John. Somerville. I want to travel again. It's a lovely evening. Good, lovely to have you there. I hope that's been good. My daughter bought me a couple of special decks of cards for Father's Day. Oh, good, I'm so pleased. That's really lovely. I'll show you what I got in a minute. It was so lovely. My daughter a couple of months ago got me a membership to the cinema for 6 months, which is lovely because I was a bit skint at the time, and I was missing my cinema, which was great. It can feel so weird and out of place, but most people want to see some magic in my experience. Yeah, that's a really good point. And if they don't, get out of the way. What have you lost? I've done it before where I've started and I've gone, actually, this is too weird. I'll finish the trick and said thanks a lot and felt icky about it. But so what? Brandon, good to see you, mate. Brandon Ellis, phenomenal card guy and coin guy and technician. So have a look at Brandon's stuff. I recently put myself under pressure to perform, and that killed my enjoyment of practice. I've stopped pressuring myself, and my love is returning. Yeah, that's another thing as well. Comfort, stretch, panic. Out of your comfort zone's good. Hey, O'Brien Magic. How you doing, mate? Lovely to see you. I really hope you're well. Michael O'Brien, I get worried about getting names wrong, even if it's people I know. It is. I'll talk about purse frames. I'm desperate to go about your stuff. My ADHD brain. Yes. I think there's a balance to be had. Comfort, stretch, panic. Stretch is where we should be some of the time, and that some would say, and I would say, is the key to happiness. To be out of our comfort zone sometimes, and that sense of achievement we have, I think I need that for happiness, not pleasure, happiness. If I don't feel like I'm progressing in any way, or if I get quite depressed, it's usually because I haven't stepped out of my comfort zone enough in the last few days. However, if you step away from it for a bit, if you're going into panic, comfort, stretch, panic, the Ronke model. Panic is you don't want to be overstressed, anxious. I think it's okay to dip your toes in panic sometimes, but make sure you can safely retreat to stretch or comfort. So find ways of going out of your comfort zone that doesn't do that. And if you do that and you try it and it's just completely ruined your joy of it, as Tommy says, step away from it for a bit, not forever. It doesn't mean you have to do it forever. I think we dip our toes because if you jump into water that's too cold, it can be dangerous. So you've got to make sure it's cold and you get that, but it's not going to make you never want to jump into water again. Does that make sense? So thank you for your time. You're welcome, Paul. So thanks for saying hello. It's what have I remember? It's not Michael O'Brien. I have this thing, by the way, of forgetting names of people I know really well. Don't be offended. I'm talking amongst yourselves. Hang on. It is Michael O'Brien. Yeah, sorry. I get that thing where I think I get so paranoid. Right. I'm going to go now. I enjoyed that. Thank you very much. Every Sunday, but I do go live before it. So please email me questions. And if I forget to get back to you, email me again. If I've got stuff to review of yours, I'm so sorry. It takes me so long sometimes. I will get to it. I am drowning in it a bit, but I'm enjoying working through it. And I've got loads of recommendations for you. So do check out the podcast, check out all the stuff. Go to stevefortner.com/newsletter. But yeah, I know, it's funny, isn't it, Michael? Thanks, man. And I appreciate you more than you will ever know. Take care. See you later. Bye-bye.